We know you could be doing a lot of things. Everybody's busy. So for you to carve time to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, means a lot. And we are coming to you from the studios provided by First Star Logistics, which means a lot to us as well because they are outstanding. Our guest is outstanding too. Justin Rascati is the pass game coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. Man, what a year the passing attack had. There's no question about it. Joe Burrow, magnificent triple crown for Jamar Chase. Higgins put up crazy numbers. They're all back. They're going to run it back. Mike Gesicki is back. Put up big numbers at the tight end position as well. They have running backs, Brown, Pirine, that are going to be huge factors. Not only running the football, but pass protection, catching the football. They've got weapons everywhere. Defenses won't have enough people on the football field to cover everything the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be doing. And Coach talks about all that, talks about those weapons, talks about the meetings that they're having putting together, any adjustments to the scheme, concepts, all those things moving forward. It's exciting. This football team has a potent passing attack. We're going to hear all about it. We certainly do appreciate you taking the time to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, as always, coming to you from the studio that they also provide for us, which we are supremely appreciative of. And we are very appreciative of our guest here because he is a good one, man. This guy, Justin Rascati, is a guy that is a name, a rising star in the National Football League. He is the Cincinnati Bengals pass game coordinator. It's his 7th year in the National Football League as a coach, this 2nd year now with the Cincinnati Bengals. As a player, he quarterbacked his team, James Madison, to a national championship, threw for almost 6,000 yards when he was there, for over 50 touchdown passes when he was there. He played in the Arena League. He played in the Canadian Football League and the National Football League, a lot of playing experience. He's coached at the collegiate level and in the National Football League. He's coached quarterbacks, wide receivers, offensive linemen. He's been an offensive coordinator at the collegiate level. Coach, you're only 41 years old. I mean, your resume is unbelievable, the amount of experience you have. You are the man.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a crazy journey, that's for sure, but definitely living a dream every day. And again, it's been a ton of fun. It's something I've always wanted to do, and it's been a great time being here. My family really enjoys it here in Cincinnati, and it's been a great experience so far.
So your family, you and Jennifer, you got 3 boys. I bet they keep you busy, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I just got off the phone with my wife. I think we've got 3 practices between the older 2 tonight, between basketball and lacrosse. So we'll be plenty busy throughout the week, chasing these kids around, but it's great. You know, they're having a great time, and just really enjoyed watching them compete and, you know, have fun playing the sports. You know, they're in football, basketball, lacrosse. So it's been a lot of fun to watch these kids grow up.
That's awesome. Your title is pass game coordinator. Wow. What a year for a pass game coordinator. I mean, and the fact that with the signings of the contracts that are out there for Higgins and Jamar Chase, you get that dynamic duo back. But I mean, the numbers are absolutely crazy. 472 points scored, the most in franchise history. The passing game, you had your quarterback led the National Football League in just about every passing category that you can think of. Your wide receiver, Jamar Chase, has the triple crown. And then Higgins supports that with a phenomenal year as well. Between those 2 receivers, 200 receptions, 2,619 yards, 27 touchdown catches, and they're only 25 and 26 years old, and you get these two guys back for another 4 years, run it back for 4 years with Joe Burrow, that duo. Also, Mike Gesicki, has re-signed with the Cincinnati Bengals for a stretch. So, I mean, you've got a lot of those weapons that had as good a passing game as the National Football League has seen in a long time back in the fold. It's going to be exciting for you, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we want to give all the credit to the players. We've got a great group of guys that, help us be efficient and explosive every Sunday. And they did a great job of buying into what we ask them to do, because we do put a lot on their plate throughout the course of a week and to get ready for a game. But yeah, definitely excited to get all these guys back and get back to work here in a few weeks when they all show back up for the off-season program.
So you mentioned, Coach, you put a lot on their plate. I mean, I guess a lot of different concepts. In the National Football League, a lot of times the play that's called in the huddle, some of the options aren't there immediately. And then you kind of have to extend and create and make something happen. And the group that you have, I mean, these guys, they're special players. Not only special players, special people, but I mean, they're special players in that they not only have this immense physical ability, but they have high football IQ, and they're all on the same page. And when they have to do something to extend and create, everybody knows what the other guy's doing. It's like watching just a well-produced play unfold right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, we're lucky to have Joe. He's the best on the planet in what he does. And I know he's got a great relationship with the receivers and tight ends, and they're always on the same page. They work at it in practice, and again, they had a great year, and we're excited that all these guys are coming back, and there's definitely room for growth for all of us. That's kind of what we're in the office doing now, finding ways that we can improve and different schemes we can implement into our offense this offseason, and work out on it in OTAs and training camp and be ready for the season.
So let's talk about that part of it, Coach. Like you mentioned, you're in the process of meeting as a coaching staff. There's a lot on your plate this time of year. There's no question about it. A lot of things are going on. But you get a couple of additions. The offensive line, Scott Peters, the offensive line coach. Mike McCarthy is his assistant offensive line coach. They both come to you from the New England Patriots. The staff meetings, I mean, I guess as a individually, and then you talk about it collectively, you have to evaluate and grade player performances from last year. Maybe you're in discussions with your new coaches to get everybody up to speed on the same page with respect to schemes, maybe take some of their input and some of the schemes and ideas that they had in their prior stop, and then you start evaluating veteran free agents, the secondary market of veteran free agents, and they've coached and maybe game planned against some of these veteran free agents you guys are still talking about. And then you review the combine and the impressions of the combine, and then visits. You guys are out making visits now, and veteran players and draft prospects. There are visits everywhere, OTAs, mini camps you have to prepare for. I mean, the list is almost endless, Coach. What do you prioritize? Do you work on everything kind of all at once, or do you take a specific category and knock that off the list and go to the next one?
Yeah, it's definitely a busy time of year for us. But, when we get back after the season, really start on self-scout and work on free agency, and kind of split up your day. Sometimes you, in the morning, work on self-scout, in the afternoon, work on free agency. And then now we're kind of leaning more towards the draft, but still working on ourselves half the day, and just finding ways that we can improve as an offense. And part of that's doing league studies, just to see the trends around the league of how we can evolve and again, to grow as an offense, and things that fit us moving forward with what we have, and the personnel that we have, and how we can use certain guys in certain situations. But yeah, definitely a busy time of year, but everything's going great. Excited about the staff, adding Scott and Mike has been great. Getting to know those guys and working with them on a daily basis. So really excited about where we are today and ready, to move forward with the offseason program.
With Joe was very, very vocal about his desire to have his two weapons back, and Mike Gesicki. All three of those guys are important to Joe Burrow. Obviously, those guys have a great relationship on the football field as well as off the football field. They're tremendous friends. They all hang together, spend a lot of time together. Since 2021, football teams 34-18 when all three of those players are available together, barring injury or whatever the case may be. Almost 2 wins for every defeat. That's pretty strong. Tell us about these players that you just re-signed. Jamar Chase, you look at him, his numbers, like we talked about, Triple Crown, just extraordinary. But a thing that hits me about him, 787 yards after contact, yards after catch. To me, that's kind of running through people as well as making people miss. And I mean, he's incredible. Since he's come into the league, he leads the National Football League, 18 touchdowns of 40 yards or more, 13 touchdowns of 50 yards or more, and 12 touchdowns of 60 yards or more. This guy is a big play waiting to happen every single snap. I mean, he's almost like a running back once the football's in his hands, isn't he?
Oh, there's no question. It's our job as a coaching staff to find ways to get him the ball no matter what the defense is doing, because, every week we see a different plan for Jamar, whether it's, different double teams or cloud coverage to him. And, so it's a challenge week to week of finding new ways to get him the ball. But, to his credit, he's has complete, control of this offense and understanding of the scheme and gives us a lot of flexibility to move him around. And when you can do that with a player like Jamar, it makes it tough on defenses to defend him because they don't know where he's going to align, and like you said, he's like a running back when he gets the ball. So it's our job to, how many ways can we get the ball to him quickly and then also down the field in some of our play action game and again, find ways to feature him no matter what the defense is doing. So again, really excited, for Jamar. He's obviously been extremely productive throughout his career and has proven himself to be the best in the league. And, look forward to getting back to work here with those guys and again, find ways to continue to get him the ball.
You look at him, like you mentioned, Coach, he has a total understanding of the offense, and that's evolved over time. I mean, it doesn't happen, as soon as you come from a campus at LSU, but he's always had tremendous football IQ and has the ability, like you said, to absorb a lot. I mean, he's a guy that can sort through a lot of things. The position versatility that he has, you can line him up anywhere, including, the running back position. That is so huge, that versatility and that flexibility, and having the confidence that he knows exactly what he's supposed to do out of all these different positions every single snap based on what the defense is doing against him. A Swiss Army knife like that, how valuable can that be?
Yeah, it's a huge weapon, obviously, for us. He was a big reason why we were, so explosive on offense this year. And, again, to his credit, he came in every Wednesday morning and just said, all right, how are you guys going to try to get me the ball? And whatever we ask him to do, he does at such a high level. And he works really hard. I know you're out at practice most days. You see the way he competes on a daily basis. It's no surprise to why he has success on Sundays. He's put a lot of work into it. And again, we're just excited to keep coming up with these ideas and creative ways to get him the ball and let him go to work out there.
T. Higgins, 6'4" plus, with long arms, can run, but also with that big frame. I mean, he can get in and out of cuts like a much smaller, physically smaller person. He just, for his body type, to have the movement skills that he has, the change of direction, to be able to, like I said, drop his hips, sink his hips, get in and out of cuts like he does, create separation, and then to boot, take advantage of that size, the height, the long arms for contested catches. And man, he's something else. And it seems like in December, that's when he really starts to put up big numbers. And when you're in playoffs and, AFC championship games, he has 100-yard games, and big performances. Tell us about T. Higgins. What's it like to have him as a weapon when you're game planning?
Oh, T's awesome. We're lucky to have him. And again, he's another big piece of why we were, productive on offense and explosive, and just, again, finding ways to get him touches because, like you said, he's big, he's fast, he's strong. He's a matchup problem for the defense. And, when Jamar gets a lot of these double teams or cloud coverages, it gives us, a lot of times one-on-one matchups with T. And you can see he's been productive throughout his career. When we do get him in one-on-one situations, we feel great about it. And, again, T's another guy that works really hard and is extremely talented. And, he's a guy as well that we can move around and find creative ways to get him the ball.
That is the kind of like one of the big things, I think, when the Bengals re-sign their own position versatility, being able to play more than one position is almost like a must have in today's National Football League. And the people that you re-signed, and the Bengals like to re-sign their own. There's no question. They feel like if they draft them and develop them, they want to get them into second contracts. They want to take advantage of that, and they're in the prime of their careers, and they want to take advantage of those particular years. But I mean, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki, Cody Ford, some of the defensive players. Everybody plays more than one position. I mean, position versatility is a big deal. Let's throw Mike Gesicki in the mix now as a weapon that Joe Burrow mentioned. I'd like to have the two receivers back, and he said, Mike Gesicki as well. He was a huge weapon for me. And when you have a guy like him at his size, with his long arms and his ability to catch the football and his route running skill set as well, man. T. Higgins and Mike Gesicki on the football field at the same time. It's like, what is this, the NBA or the NFL, man? These guys are big dudes. And Mike can line up at the end of the line of scrimmage, and put his hand in the dirt and do some things at the edge, block people, then, running all of his route tree. But then he can also, flex and do it. He can go in the slot. He can line up as a bunch receiver. I mean, this guy gives you all kinds of weapons and versatility too, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely. We're lucky to have him back. And, again, he's one of the most, dynamic pass catching tight ends in the NFL right now, and he was extremely productive last year on those weighty downs, third down, red zone, where we can find matchups for him to get open and create space. And, like you said, he's long, he's athletic, he's fast, very good route runner. So, again, fired up to get Mike back and get back to work with him here soon. And, again, find ways to get him matchups and get him in space and get him the ball because, he's extremely productive. And like I said, he was a huge weapon for us, especially on, third down in the red zone.
And, you would think with the weapons that you got at the wide receiver position, now that you re-signed the big dynamic duo, and, I think there's at least 6 receivers on the roster that you guys like and want to continue to develop. There's probably 6 tight ends, I think too. But talk a little bit about Yossi, Tanner Hudson, guys like that at the receiver and tight end position group that have made contributions. But, you're looking, oh boy, another year in the system, another year of familiarity, understanding what the expectations are. You're assuming there's going to be growth there, right?
Yeah, for sure. Andre last year was awesome to see his growth and development in this system. And again, he's another guy that gives us a ton of flexibility, a guy that can play inside, outside, a guy that can win his one-on-one matchups. You saw last year he had a ton of huge catches in critical moments, whether it was third down, red zone. 2-minute. So again, he's only going to get better as well. He works really hard. Troy does a great job with him, and excited to continue to watch his development. And then getting Tanner back was huge for us. He's a veteran player. He knows his system. He brings a lot of value in the passing game, in the run game, as well as on third down and protections. So it was huge for us to get both of those tight ends back. Like you said, that's an extremely talented room. We got a good mixture of some young guys and veteran players that, James does a tremendous job with to get them ready to play every week, because we put a lot on their plate. They probably got one of the toughest jobs on the offense with all the stuff we asked them to do. So really excited to get both those guys back.
And then what about out of the backfield, the weapons that you have out of the backfield? Brown has done a phenomenal job presenting himself as a receiver to catch the football. His blitz pickup protections have gotten so much more sound. I mean, I think he does a heck of a job in that regard. You signed Samaje Perine, who is outstanding in those areas as well. I think as good a blitz pickup guy at the running back position maybe there is in the league. I mean, he's really worked at that part of it, and he can run good routes and catch the football as well. He loved playing with Joe, and Joe loved playing with him. I mean, to have weapons like that, I mean, at every level, wide receiver, tight end, running back, I mean, weapons just keep coming like waves at people defensively.
Absolutely. Chase is one of the top premier backs in this league. He's got 3-down value. He proved that last year. Like you said, he's done a much better job in pass protection. He's a huge weapon for us out of the backfield in the passing game, which we can continue to find ways to get him touches in space, because he can make guys miss, and he's got the speed to create explosives. And then getting P. Ryan back was huge for us. Another guy that can add a ton of value in many different ways. He's experienced. He knows this system, and so we're all very excited that he's back with us.
What's it like been at the meetings, Coach, with the two new offensive line coaches? Has there been a pretty healthy exchange of techniques that want to be taught, maybe structure of how we want to block certain defenses, certain looks, and all those kind of things that when a new coaching staff, or not new, I mean, most of the coaching staff returns intact, but the offensive line position group is a very important position group, obviously, and the coach of that is extremely important. The techniques, I'm excited to see the techniques that Coach Peters is going to be employing, maybe firming up that interior part of the pocket. I mean, every quarterback at any level of football will say, man, if you can keep guys out of my face so I can see down the football field, man, that's what it's all about. And I'm hoping that's where maybe a big improvement may occur.
Yeah, we're really excited to have Scott and Mike here with us. They've been great to work with them every day, and extremely talented coaches. They pride themselves on development, and so just really look forward to continue working with them. And we've been in the office the past few weeks, kind of diving through scheme and finding ways to get better at what we currently do, and then maybe some different wrinkles that they've done, at other places that we can add to our system. But again, very excited that these guys are here, and they've done a great job.
How valuable has their input been in terms of taking a look at your players? Maybe they weren't part of the coaching aspect of it last year, but veteran eyes that come in from the outside, take an outside look perspective at it. That might be intriguing. Like we talked about before, maybe things that they did at New England that worked really well. Players that they game planned against, at New England that are on this upcoming schedule, play the New England Patriots, teams that players that they coached and they worked against at practice. The coaches' mentality and philosophy working against them when they do, one-on-one drills and all that sort of thing. All that kind of information, people think, that's trivial. It all adds up, right? I mean, it's all important. It's a plus. It's no minus, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's no question. Scott was in this division for a few years in Cleveland, so he knows not only our roster, but the other teams in this division. And again, he's done a great job, since he's been here, of just evaluating our current players and then working on free agency and now the draft. And we have a really talented O-line room. Excited to get those guys back and continue to work together as an offense to find ways to grow and continue to get better, because we all have room to grow as coaches and players this offseason to put together a great season in the fall.
So does Coach Peters, does he have some pretty good thoughts with respect to the run game?
Yeah, he does a great job. I learned a lot from him actually in his interview. We probably talked 4 or 5 hours of O-line play and scheme and techniques, and very smart, experience. He played in this league. He's coached in this league for a while, and Scott and Mike will do a great job, adding to our run game, our protection schemes, developing players. They're really good coaches, and we're glad to work with them.
I'm excited to go to training camp and maybe even mini camp practices and everything, and watch him indoctrinate the players into the new techniques, with the mixed martial arts stuff kind of mixed in there a little bit, some different footwork potentially from a placement standpoint, and usage of hands and long arms and all that kind of thing. I'm excited to see how all that unfolds. And I have a feeling, I know you guys, this football staff is young, energetic, enthusiastic, and these guys fall right into that category. I mean, you guys really work hard and do a hell of a job, motivating the players at practice and getting everything you can out of them. And these guys would do nothing but add to that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we do have a great staff. I've enjoyed working with these guys this past year. Dan does a great job leading all of us and keeping us all organized, and everybody has their role in game planning and developing their position group. And again, just it's been a blast working with them. And now adding Scott and Mike, like you said, they fit right in, and it's been a lot of fun, this short time that we've been together, but really excited to move forward and get on the grass here pretty soon.
Have you had much dialogue, much communication with the players? Are you allowed to contact players? I know there's a dead period. When does it open back up again, when coaches and players can kind of communicate?
Yeah, some of the guys are in here working out. You see down in the weight room, but really the guys will be back later in April. So they're all kind of doing their own thing, working out. Some here, some Arizona, California, Texas, just kind of getting away, and they all have their own routine, which is great. And I'm sure they'll all be ready to get back here in April here pretty soon and get back to work.
So I'm sure fans would love to be able to just kind of peek in when you guys, yourself, Dan Pitcher, all the other coaches offensively are in a meeting with the quarterbacks, and Joe Burrow's in there, and the high level of communication, football IQ that goes on in those meetings, things that guys see, off the tape, I bet probably would fascinate, the average fan. Those meetings have to be pretty impressive to be part of, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun sitting in there. There's a lot of good conversation. Brad does a great job with Joe on a daily basis in the meeting rooms and on the field. And as we get later in the week during the game week, Zach and Dan and myself sit in there, and as we all go through the call sheet, and again, Joe has complete control of this offense, and he's an extension of the coaching staff really, and gives great input throughout the week of how he sees our opponent and how he sees our game plan and the direction it's going as we get closer to Sundays. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot to learn in there too. There's stuff that comes up all the time with the 3 quarterbacks that sit in there, and Brad and Dan and Zach and myself. It's a lot of good conversation going on.
I remember back in the early stages of my career as a player, Paul Brown was my head coach. Bill Walsh was the quarterback receiver coach. And I had Tiger Johnson as my offensive line coach, 3 outstanding, football minds. And I remember, we'd come off the football field, and as a young player, they'd sit us down as an offense, or Tiger would take the offensive line sometimes, and all the other skill players would sit as a group, and then we'd get together all the time. Though eventually all 11 would get together, and man, the adjustments that would be made coming off the field, not waiting for halftime. Now it's like, no, we're not going to waste any time. What do you see? What do you guys think? How different are they aligning themselves when it's third down in medium yardage as opposed to what we were anticipating? Whatever the case may have been, I mean, they were deep diving like right away, and I'm like, man, I've never been like this. I mean, I've been in situations where you make some adjustments here and there, but it's like, wow, these guys, boy. I imagine when Joe comes off the football field, you guys get into those deep dives, don't you?
Oh, there's no question. We love his feedback, and again, he's an extension of the coaching staff out there on the field, and there's been several times where he's come off and had a great idea, and we get to it the next opportunity, and it works. There's whether it's a touchdown pass or a huge third down conversion. Again, he's totally dialed into our game plan, and we have a ton of trust in him to help us make those adjustments in game. And we've had a ton of success in the past, doing that, and we'll continue moving forward.
Paul Brown, I can remember like it was yesterday, seeing him in the meeting room, getting up and saying to the quarterbacks, we'd meet as an entire offense and then break down into the different position groups. But the entire offensive meeting, he'd get up and would always have something to say about who played well, who didn't, and you didn't want to be in that category of who didn't. Boy, in very few words, boy, he could lower your way down. He could really, really hurt your self-worth. It was amazing. But he would say to the quarterbacks, I admire your ability to improvise and to create, as long as it works out. He said, if it works out a high percentage of the time, I'll be okay. But if it starts being a problem, it's not going to be happening anymore, or I'll find somebody else. You hear me? I mean, he was always like, okay, yeah, that's great. That was a touchdown. But, I don't want, it could have very easily gone the other way in his mind. And he was great that way. But it was his way. It's like, I don't want you not to do it, but I want you to make damn sure that's the best thing to do, because I don't want to suffer by you going off script and it's not what we want.
Right. Well, our guy, Joe, he's the best on the planet at extending plays and making plays off schedule. And as you can see over the years, the third down conversions, the touchdowns in the red zone. He does a phenomenal job of keeping the play alive, moving within the pocket, getting out of the pocket. He's so athletic and dynamic that, the receivers know the play's never over. So always continue to work to get open. And matter of fact, James Casey did a really good presentation last offseason on our scramble drill. And a lot of that showed up, guys playing with great effort, playing with great detail, and have an understanding of space and where Joe needs you to be to get the ball. And we were able to get some really big explosives and touchdowns this year off of, Joe making plays off schedule.
Yeah, I mean, boy, the money downs, PB used to call the money downs third down in red zone. Those are the money downs, man. That's when we have to perform. That's what separates the men from the boys. Joe is incredible on third down and red zone. The receivers, I mean, Jamar, T, Yossi, you talk about Yossi's red zone touchdown catches to his overall catches is crazy. I mean, it's a high percentage. Third down catches, like you talk about. Gesicki, same way. I mean, you guys have so many weapons that can step up and, like laser in on, I got to really perform here. It's big. It's money down, third down, red zone down. That's a luxury, isn't it?
Absolutely. We've talked a lot about that. We're blessed to to have the roster we do and the weapons we have on the perimeter. And, you know, it's a challenge for us every week to find different ways to get those guys the ball and get them in great situations. And again, just excited that they're all here and back together. And I know they're ready to get back to work. And you know, we had a great year last year, but there's definitely room for growth, and we're working towards that now.
Coach, can't thank you enough for your time. I know the Bengals have been around for, gosh, this will be 50th year here coming up between playing and broadcasting. And the philosophy has always been, you know, draft and develop for the most part. You know, you now with free agents and everything, that's kind of changed. You know, you do get from the outside, but the organizational mindset, draft and develop and get them into that second contract. And you guys have done a phenomenal job of that. And not only draft and develop and retain, but then the versatility of the guys can play so many multiple positions, and so many guys that can do that have been re-signed. And you have to be a hell of a coach to be able to do all that, you know, with your roster. And you're part of a tremendous staff, and we appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Have the best day you ever had.
All right. Have a great one.
You too. Dave Lapham here. While games are over for the season, there's no off-season for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham or First Star Logistics. First Star Logistics gave away great prizes during the season, which will continue with exclusive content in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel. So please, do me a favor. Subscribe to In the Trenches, hit the like button, and visit the First Star Media Group YouTube channel for exclusive content and special giveaways.